My husband accidentally deleted the presentation for my big promotion minutes before the meeting. I kissed his cheek and said, "Don't worry. My name is Susan Bailey. I'm 32 years old, and this is the story of how the man I trusted most, my own husband, tried to erase my future with a single click." The first time I met Travis, he wasn't my rival. He was just a charming guy with a crooked smile at our corporation's annual conference. He was 30 back then, working in marketing while I was in product development. We weren't in the same division, so there was no competition, just late-night talks at the hotel bar, shared jokes about corporate buzzwords, and that rush you feel when someone seems to see you in a way no one else does. 2 years later, we were married. That's when things changed. Travis transferred to my division, saying he wanted us to be a power couple. I thought it was romantic until I realized he wasn't dreaming about us. He was dreaming about power. At the time, there was a huge opportunity dangling over our heads: a senior director promotion. One position, 5 candidates. The winner would oversee a team of 30 and earn a $75,000 salary bump. Both Travis and I were on the shortlist. I should have seen the storm coming. I poured myself into the project. 6 months of sleepless nights, coffee-fueled mornings, and endless drafts. I built a framework that could save the company $2 million annually. 50 slides packed with data, ROI projections, client testimonials, every pixel perfect. Travis, meanwhile, worked in spurts of erratic energy. His charm carried him far, but I knew charm wasn't enough. Not this time. The night before the presentation felt almost domestic. I was in my home office, eyes heavy, rechecking slide number 37 for the 5th time when Travis walked in with coffee. He kissed my forehead. "I'm proud of you, no matter what happens tomorrow," he said softly. Then he added with that sly smile, "May the best person win." I smiled back, pretending not to hear the challenge laced in his voice. "Good luck to you too, babe," I replied, saving my work for the 5th time that hour. Call it paranoia or instinct, but I didn't trust my computer alone. I copied everything onto a USB, slipped it into my laptop bag, and uploaded a backup to my personal cloud, just in case. Thursday morning, the biggest day of my career, 8:45 a.m. I was in the kitchen scrambling eggs when Travis called out from my office. "Babe, can you help me? I think my cufflink dropped near your desk." I hurried over, searching under the printer, found the cufflink, brushed it into his palm. He hugged me, wished me luck, and rushed off to his own prep meeting at 900. Sweet, supportive, normal, or so it seemed. 9:30 a.m., 30 minutes before showtime. I opened my laptop to do one final review and froze. The folder was gone. Not just the presentation, everything. 6 months of work vanished. Even the recycle bin was empty. My chest tightened. My throat burned. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Travis. "Just realized I might have accidentally deleted something when I was looking for my cufflink. So sorry, babe, my Bluetooth mouse must have clicked something. But you don't really need slides, right? You'll do great." I stared at the screen for 10 seconds, maybe more. Accidentally, Bluetooth mouse, under my desk. No, I wasn't stupid. I opened our home security app. My heart thudded as I scrolled back to 8:45 a.m. There he was, Travis, sitting at my desk. Not searching, not even glancing at the floor. His fingers moved with precision, dragging my files into the trash. Emptying it, disconnecting my cloud sync, even clearing my browser history. And then, God help me, he smiled. It took him less than 3 minutes to erase half a year of my life. But here's the thing Travis didn't know about me. I've never believed in luck. I believe in preparation. I still had my USB, and now I had something better: proof. Proof that the man I shared a bed with had just tried to sabotage me. I slipped the USB into my laptop bag and added one new slide to my presentation. A slide that would change everything. As I zipped up my bag, I caught my reflection in the darkened computer screen. My eyes weren't panicked. They were steady, cold. For the first time, I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to fight back. The boardroom always smelled the same, like stale coffee, polished wood, and ambition. 12 executives sat around the table. The CEO dialed in on the big screen, his image grainy but imposing. 5 candidates, 1 promotion. And me, walking in with my laptop heart-steady USB in hand. Travis was already seated, flashing that confident smile, the one that used to charm me, but now only reminded me of the smirk he'd worn on my office camera an hour earlier. He thought I was broken. He thought I had nothing. He thought wrong. The presentations began. Travis volunteered to go first. Of course he did. His slides were smooth polished, his voice steady. He leaned into his charisma, making eye contact with every executive, sprinkling in corporate buzzwords like seasoning. But I watched him closely. Every few minutes, he'd glance at me, expecting nerves, expecting panic. I gave him nothing. When he finished, polite applause followed. 3 more candidates went next, competent, solid, but none with groundbreaking ideas. Their words blurred into background noise. Then it was my turn. I stood at the head of the table, plugged in my laptop, and let silence settle. My palms didn't sweat. My voice didn't shake. "Good morning," I began. "Before I start my presentation, I need to show you something that happened exactly 31 minutes ago." Click. The first slide wasn't C. Bailey's or numbers. It was security footage. The screen filled with Travis sitting at my desk, dragging my files into the trash, emptying the bin, disconnecting my cloud backup. The timestamp 9:29 a.m. A collective gasp rippled across the room. Travis froze, his mouth half open. On the CEO screen, I saw him lean forward. "What is this?" he demanded. I kept my voice calm, even as you can see there was an attempt to sabotage my work this morning. Fortunately, I clicked again, transitioning smoothly into my actual presentation. I believe in being prepared. Slide after slide, I delivered my framework, data projections, cost savings, client testimonials. My voice didn't waver. Every word landed sharp and deliberate. The room stayed hushed, executives locked in, not just on the slides, but on the unspoken drama that hung in the air. Travis sat there pale as printer paper, his hands trembling just enough to betray him. When I finished, silence lingered for a heartbeat. Then the CEO's voice cut through Ms. Bailey that was illuminating, both the presentation and the preamble. I bowed my head slightly. "Thank you." The meeting wrapped. As candidates filed out, I felt the air shift, executives whispering, eyes flicking toward Travis but avoiding him all the same. Just outside the boardroom, the head of HR intercepted him. "Travis, we need to talk now." He glanced at me, panic swimming in his eyes, pleading silently for mercy. I gave him the same smile he'd given my office camera that morning. Cold. Final. Update 1. That afternoon I was summoned to the CEO's office. The words felt surreal. "Congratulations, Susan. You're our new senior director." But that wasn't all. HR told me what they'd uncovered during their review of Travis's behavior. The sabotage wasn't new. It was a pattern. Emails where he'd spread rumors about other candidates. One was too unstable because of a divorce. Another uncommitted because she'd taken maternity leave. He'd been accessing my project files for months, copying my proposals, even presenting watered-down versions as his own days before mine. The man I love, the man I married, wasn't just competing with me. He was trying to replace me. That night Travis came home like nothing had happened. He set the table, served pasta, even poured wine. "How was your day, honey?" he asked too casually. I twirled my fork in silence for a moment, then answered, "Pretty well. I got the promotion." The spoon clattered from his hand onto the plate. His face drained. "You? What? But how?" "I had a backup," I said smoothly. His jaw clenched. "You knew. You knew I deleted it. And you didn't say anything." I met his eyes, calm as still water. "Just like you knew it wasn't an accident." For the first time I saw the mask slip. The anger. The desperation. And I realized this wasn't over. Not even close. The pasta on my plate grew cold. Travis stared at me across the table. His expression caught somewhere between fury and disbelief. "You humiliated me," he hissed finally, his voice trembling, "in front of the entire leadership team. Do you realize what you did?" I set down my fork gently. "No, Travis. You humiliated yourself when you chose sabotage. I just made sure there were witnesses." His lips twisted, a flash of anger crossing his face. Then, as if on cue, he switched tactics, eyes glistening, voice breaking. "I was desperate," he whispered. "You're always one step ahead. I just needed this one thing. We're supposed to be a team." I stared at him, feeling nothing. Teams don't sabotage each other. The silence that followed was deafening. That night Travis didn't come to bed. He slept in the guest room. And I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every smile, every "I'm proud of you," every kiss on the forehead, all of it tainted, now poisoned by the truth. The next morning I walked into the kitchen to make coffee and noticed the bag had been replaced. Same brand, same packaging. But one sip told me decaf, petty. When I opened the fridge for my prepped meals, the containers were gone. Replaced with takeout boxes I hadn't ordered. The trash can revealed the truth: my carefully portioned meals tossed in untouched. Even my streaming accounts weren't safe. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all my profiles erased. Years of watch history gone overnight. Petty, childish, transparent, and yet revealing. Travis wasn't just angry. He wanted control. He wanted me off balance, dependent, rattled. What he didn't realize was that every petty act was being recorded. Our smart fridge camera, activity logs, security apps, tiny digital breadcrumbs, all leading back to him. I collected them quietly, like seeds I knew I'd one day need to plant. Update 2. 2 weeks later HR called me again. Travis was officially terminated. Not for what happened to me though. They agreed his sabotage was indefensible but for something worse. Falsified expense reports, Uber rides he never took, dinners with clients that never existed, office supplies purchased not for work but for his side hustle. 2 years of small but steady theft. Nearly $8,000 in damage. Corporate could tolerate toxic behavior with a slap on the wrist, but theft, that was a line they wouldn't cross. Travis had been suspended with pay during the investigation. Now he was fired just like that. That night he came home with a forced smile plastered on his face as if nothing had changed. "I was thinking we should go out tonight," he said casually. "Celebrate. A fresh start." I looked at him incredulous. "Celebrate what you're firing." His smile faltered. "You don't have to rub it in." "Rub it in." My voice sharpened. "You sabotaged me, Travis. You lied to HR. You stole from the company and somehow you think you're the victim here." His jaw tightened. "I did it for us. For our future." "No," I said coldly. "You did it for yourself." Later that night I heard him in the guest room pacing, muttering under his breath. I caught fragments. "Set me up. She owes me. This isn't over." The words curled around me like smoke. For the first time I realized Travis wasn't just bitter. He was dangerous. The morning after Travis's firing, my phone buzzed with notifications. LinkedIn. Dozens of them. Travis had posted a long article, nearly a manifesto, about toxic femininity and leadership. According to him, women like me were destroying the corporate world with manipulation and favoritism. He painted himself as a victim of workplace betrayal. A martyr for men who'd been crushed by ambitious wives. He didn't mention my name. He didn't have to. Everyone in the company knew. At first I just stared at the post, stunned by the audacity. But the comments rolled in fast. Jordan, the colleague going through a divorce, wrote, "Interesting article. By the way, thanks for telling everyone I was unstable. Really helped during my custody hearing." Rita, the new mother he'd slandered, added, "Fascinating perspective. Was it also toxic femininity when you told the CFO I was mommy tracked?" And then there was Wami, another candidate. He simply posted a screenshot of Travis's email where he'd begged him to drop out of the promotion race because Travis was guaranteed to win. The backlash was swift, merciless. Travis's post was ratioed into oblivion within hours. By evening he deleted it, but screenshots spread like wildfire. That night he came home fuming, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames on the wall. "They turned on me," he spat. "All of them. And you just sat there letting it happen." I kept my voice calm. "You wrote the post, Travis. You slandered people. Actions have consequences." His eyes burned. "You don't get it. I sacrificed for you. For us. And this is how you repay me." I almost laughed. "You sabotaged me. You stole from the company." Where exactly was the sacrifice? He didn't answer. Instead, he stormed off into the guest room again. The next day he tried a different approach. He called my mother. I found out because Mom rang me afterward, her voice both weary and amused. "He was crying," she told me. "Said you'd ruined his career and abandoned him in his time of need, sweetheart." I told him the truth. "You didn't ruin his career. He did." For the first time in weeks I smiled. "Thanks, Mom. Don't thank me." She sighed. "Just be careful. Men like him don't give up quietly." Mom was right. Because a week later I came home to find Travis packing. Not his clothes, ours. The television. The dining room chairs. Even the Vitamix blender I used every morning. "I deserve half of everything," he said. Firmly, his arms wrapped around the blender box like a toddler clinging to a toy. I set down my bag slowly. "We've been married 2 years. I paid for most of this. And you just lost your job for theft. You want to try that argument in court?" His nostrils flared. "You owe me. You got that promotion because of my sacrifice." I actually laughed then. "Your sacrifice? You mean your failed sabotage?" His face twisted red with fury. "I deserve this." When he lifted the Vitamix as if to walk out, I pulled out my phone. "Put it down, Travis, or I'm calling the cops." For a moment I thought he'd test me. But when I started dialing, he slammed the box onto the counter and stormed toward the door with only his duffel bag. As he left, he threw one last dagger over his shoulder. "I hope you're happy. You've turned me into nothing." I stood in the quiet apartment, my heart steady. "No, Travis," I whispered. "You did that to yourself." But deep down I knew this was only the beginning. Because people like Travis didn't just fade away. They dragged you with them if you weren't careful. And I was determined not to let him. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning. Thick. Heavy. Cold. Inside, divorce papers. Not for me, from Travis. He wasn't just asking for separation. He was demanding spousal support. According to him, I owed him financial assistance because he lost his job due to actions taken during the marriage. He claimed I'd sabotaged him, manipulated him, and owed him a share of the promotion salary bump. But that wasn't all. He wanted my car because it held bad memories. He wanted half the apartment despite my name alone being on the lease. And he wanted $50,000 for emotional distress. When my lawyer read the list over the phone, she laughed so hard she had to put me on hold. But Travis wasn't finished. Within days he'd rebranded himself online. Resilient Men Rising. Overcome female betrayal with Travis Bailey. Yes, he was using my last name to market $200 coaching sessions for men who'd been betrayed by ambitious wives. The irony was astronomical. At first I thought no one would take him seriously. But then I remembered Travis was charming, persuasive, skilled at playing the victim. If he could fool me, once he could fool strangers too. I needed leverage. Something undeniable. So I went digging. And I found it. Buried in the cloud storage in the fragments of files he thought he'd erased were videos. Travis practicing his sabotage on his own laptop the night before the presentation. A recorded call with his sister where he bragged tomorrow that promotion is mine. Susan won't even see it coming. And the pièce de resistance footage of him pouring wine and toasting himself after deleting my files. Grinning like a boy who'd gotten away with stealing cookies. Every piece of evidence more damning than the last. I packaged it neatly for my lawyer. She called him with a deal. Quiet divorce, she offered. No fault filing. You walk away with your personal belongings, no spousal support, no payout. Otherwise evidence of malicious conduct and fraud. Travis' response. He left. Said he'd rather expose Susan's truth in court. Update 3. The trial was set. Travis strutted into the pre-hearing like a man who thought the world was on his side. His eyes found mine across the room, filled with that same arrogance he'd worn the morning of the sabotage. I should have been afraid. But instead I felt something sharper. Resolve. Because I wasn't just fighting for money or for a title. I was fighting for my future, the one he'd tried to delete. The war had only just begun. The courthouse was colder than I expected. Not in temperature, though the air conditioning hummed overhead, but in atmosphere. Everything about it felt designed to strip people bare. No titles. No promotions. Just truth and consequence. Travis arrived in a black suit, his tie knotted too tight, his face carefully arranged into a mask of grief. He looked like a widower attending a funeral. His own career's, perhaps. I sat across the aisle, my lawyer beside me, my hands folded in my lap. I didn't need theatrics. I had facts. The proceedings began with his attorney painting me as a manipulator. Your Honor, he intoned. My client's career was systematically undermined by his wife. She positioned him to fail while elevating herself. She withheld resources, psychologically pressured him, and when he finally faltered, she exploited his vulnerability to advance her own career. I kept my face still, expression neutral. Let them spin their web, because I knew what was coming. When it was my lawyer's turn, she didn't waste a second. Your Honor, she said calmly, what happened here was not manipulation, it was sabotage, and the evidence is irrefutable. She clicked a remote. The courtroom screen flickered to life. First the footage from my home office, Travis dragging my files into the trash, disconnecting the cloud, smirking as he emptied everything. Timestamp clear as day. The judge leaned forward, eyebrows lifting. Mrs. Bailey, he asked slowly. Is that your husband? Yes, Your Honor, I said. My voice didn't shake. The video continued. Travis on a late-night call with his sister. After tomorrow, that promotion is mine. Travis toasting himself with wine after deleting my files. Cheers to new beginnings. Each clip landed like a hammer strike. When the footage ended, the courtroom fell silent. My lawyer spoke again, her voice razor sharp. Your Honor, this is not a man betrayed. This is a man who betrayed. Travis's lawyer scrambled. My client admits to mistakes, but only under extraordinary pressure. He was manipulated by his wife's perfectionism, pushed into desperation. The judge pinched the bridge of his nose. Are you suggesting, counselor, that she forced him to commit sabotage? Yes, the lawyer said quickly. He had no choice. Travis nodded emphatically. She made me feel worthless. The judge cut him off. Mr. Bailey, no one forced you to delete files. No one forced you to falsify expense reports. Choices were made by you. And then my lawyer delivered the final blow. Your Honor, she said smoothly, we also discovered that the falsified expense reports predate the marriage. Mr. Bailey had been stealing from the company long before he ever met my client. That destroys any claim that she somehow pushed him into misconduct. The judge's gavel hit the block once hard. Enough, he said firmly. This court will not entertain victim narratives when the evidence is this clear. The verdict was swift. No spousal support, no payout. Travis would cover his own attorney fees. He would return any property not purchased with his own funds. He had 30 days to legally change his name back. He was forbidden to profit off mine. And because of his stalking behavior at my gym, a restraining order was issued. The words landed heavy final. Travis's face drained of color. He turned toward me, eyes wide, lips trembling. "You've ruined my life," he whispered hoarsely. I met his gaze with the same calm I'd carried since the day of the presentation. "No, Travis, you did that. I just stopped you from dragging me down with you." Outside the courthouse, he tried one last time. "We could have been great together," he pleaded. "We could have had everything." I looked at him. Really looked, at the man who once brought me coffee, who once made me laugh in the hotel bar, who once promised we'd take on the world together. Then I remembered the smirk on my office camera. "You chose sabotage over love," I said quietly. "That's your legacy, not mine." His sister pulled up in a car rolling down the window. I heard her mutter as he climbed in, "I told you not to delete her files." That was stupid. Even his family knew. 2 months after the trial, the last update arrived. Travis pleaded guilty to misdemeanor embezzlement. No jail time but 2 years probation, 100 hours of community service, and the order to repay the $8,000 he had stolen. His coaching venture collapsed almost immediately. Clients left scathing reviews, paid $200, got a 45-minute rant about his ex-wife. No actual career advice. 1 star. His site shut down within 3 weeks. From resilient men rising to unemployment, his fall was complete. Word trickled through mutual connections. Travis moved back in with his parents in another state. He was working as a receptionist at a dental office. Nothing wrong with that job. Honest work is honest work. But for a man who once swore he'd be a power player who schemed and sabotaged to climb higher, it was a steep descent. He blocked me on everything. Thank God. Meanwhile, my life moved forward. The senior director role was everything I'd hoped for and more. My framework saved not just $2 million but $2.3 million in the first quarter alone. At the next shareholders' call, the CEO mentioned me by name. The candidates Travis had smeared, they thrived too. Jordan transferred departments and earned his own promotion. Rita returned from maternity leave and was killing it in her new role. Whammy and I even grabbed lunch one afternoon. Turns out, without Travis whispering poison in everyone's ears, he was a decent guy. As for me, I finally allowed myself to breathe. No more walking on eggshells at home. No more wondering if the man beside me was plotting behind my back. My apartment felt lighter. Sunlight actually seemed to linger in the rooms longer. For the first time in years, peace didn't feel like a dream. It felt like reality. And then there was Talia. I met her at a conference in Chicago. She was a software engineer, sharp grounded with a laugh that made the air feel less heavy. She had her own house, her own car, her own ambitions. Independent, solid. On our third date, I told her the Travis story. Better to be upfront. She listened eyes wide, then smiled softly. "So he tried to delete your future," she said, "and ended up erasing his own." That's poetic. I laughed for the first time in a long time. Not the brittle defensive laugh I'd learned with Travis, but something genuine. Something free. We're taking it slow. But the fact that she always brings a USB backup to her project's green flag. Sometimes in the quiet of the mornings, I make myself a smoothie. Same Vitamix Travis once tried to steal. Each blend hums like a small victory song. The shakes taste sweeter now. They taste like victory. When people ask me what I learned, I tell them this. If someone shows you, they'll sabotage you. Once believe them, always keep backups. Of your files. Of your plans. Of your evidence. And most importantly, of your future. Travis tried to erase mine, but in the end, all he erased was himself. And I am still here. Stronger, wiser,